Hi everyone, and welcome to the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone and another one of our virtual Yellowstone tours. This is the Yellowstone River, and today we're going to be doing the South Rim Trail. This incidentally is the Chittenden Bridge, and in the background over there is the Grand Loop Road. If you turn right, you'll head up towards Canyon Village, and if you go left, you'll make your way down to the Hayden Valley. This is a really popular trail to take. Most people don't start it at the Chittenden Bridge though. Most people will park in the parking lot at the trailhead to Uncle Tom's and then pick up the South Rim Trail from over there. But if you want to do the entirety of the trail, then park at the Wapiti Lake hike trailhead, which is go up towards Artist Point. You'll see it on your right just after you go across the Chittenden Bridge. This is a fairly popular trail. It has incredible views, as we're going to see. You're alongside the Yellowstone River for almost the entirety of the hike, and then we are going to have great views of the upper and the lower falls. That is the Chittenden Bridge, and those of you who've watched several of our virtual Yellowstone tours may remember the name Hiram Chittenden, after whom the bridge is named. He was out here in the late 19th century with various of the surveying expeditions, and the road at the top of Mount Washburn is called the Chittenden Road, where you can take a hike up and see some really incredible views. In addition, it was thanks to Chittenden that the Roosevelt Arch exists. Oh, was that a mountain bluebird? It was very blue, couldn't see quite what it was.
Hi there.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Anyway, I was saying that it was thanks to Hiram Chittenden that the Roosevelt Arch exists. He felt that the north entrance looked pretty bleak and spare and didn't have very much going for it. And so they decided to put up an arch, which is still there today, known as the Roosevelt Arch. And the reason it's called the Roosevelt Arch is that President Theodore Roosevelt was vacationing in the park. He was doing some hunting and fishing in the area. And, well, I'm going to get back to that story in a minute. I'd like to take a still photo over here. I was telling you that President Theodore Roosevelt was vacationing in the area, and he was invited along to come and give a speech as the arch was being constructed, which he did, and hence the name Roosevelt Arch. Somewhat ironically though, Roosevelt never came to Yellowstone after the arch was constructed, so he never saw it in its finished state. people believe that it was President Roosevelt who signed the proclamation bringing Yellowstone into existence, but of course it was President Grant, after whom Grant Village is named. Roosevelt has the arch named after him. He also has the Tower Roosevelt area named partially for him. There's a lodge there, and there's also a place where you can go horseback riding and go on a sleigh ride. Excuse me, a hay ride. Behind us, the Yellowstone River has flowed from Yellowstone Lake past the mud volcano and sulfur cauldron area, and then through the magnificent Hayden Valley towards where we are at the moment, before dropping over the two falls. We're talking of the Hayden Valley. Let's consider where we are at the moment relative to a map of Yellowstone. I'm going to drop in a map of the area over here. And you'll notice that there's a road that splits what we call the Grand Loop Road into two massive loops. You've heard me say before that tour companies such as ours divide their tours into a day on the upper loop of the park and a day over the lower loop of the park. Well, this is the road that splits it up. And you'll notice on the left-hand side of the map, or the west side, you'll see Norris Geyser Basin. And then on the east side, you'll see Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. And if you follow the road down to the south just a little, that's the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone area, just a little to the east side of the Grand Loop Road. And there's various viewpoints. You'll first come to the North Rim Drive, which is basically opposite where we are at the moment. And there's some people on the trail, so I'm putting my mask on. So you have the North Rim Drive, and from the North Rim Drive you can well, there's always a spectacular view, isn't it? From the North Rim Drive you can see various vantage points. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. Hi.
Hello.
And I was telling you that from the North Rim Drive there's various vantage points. You can take a hike down to the brink of the lower falls. We don't generally include that on our tours unless it's a private tour, because the hike's not all that long, but it's long enough to be uncomfortable if you're not used to the altitude, if you're not used to the elevation here, which at the top is something over 8,000 feet. And it's longer than the hike to the brink of the upper falls. Then you'll come to Outlook Point and Grand View Point, as well as Inspiration Point. So there's any number of great viewpoints on that trail. And when you get back to the Grand Loop Road, the next road that runs off it is to the brink of the upper falls. And you can see the road up there that goes to Artist Point. Now we do include the short walk down to the brink of the upper falls on our tours. It's pretty steep on the way back, but it is short. Now here is where we meet up with the trail to Uncle Tom's as well as to Sunset Point, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. There's people coming along, and I need to find my mask again. This is the big problem this year, putting on the mask and taking it off all the time, especially when other people choose not to wear masks. Let's go over a bit, and we've got a great viewpoint. These are Yellowstone's upper falls, and over there you can see the viewpoint, surprisingly not with many people in it, where we do take people on our tours, and we can see the brink of the upper falls from over there. Let's take a shortcut to rejoin the trail. I was going to tell you about Uncle Tom's. Uncle Tom was a Bozeman resident, and Bozeman, by the way, is a small town up to the north of Yellowstone. It's it's a decent-sized town in southwestern Montana. And he had the concession to take people across the river before the Chittenden Bridge was built. Unless you wanted to swim, which could be hazardous at certain times of the year, you would climb in Uncle Tom's boat and he would ferry you across the river. And then after that, the Chittenden Bridge was built and there was no need for his services. But there's a hiking trail over here called Uncle Tom's, and it's a rather nice trail, but there's been so much construction going on here. I think it was last year, 2019, that the Park Service redid the entire trailhead and parking lot area, and now the stairs at the very bottom of Uncle Tom's are closed. So there's not an awful lot of point going down there until they get them open again. But I think I may have mentioned at the start of this video that many people like to park their car at the Uncle Tom's trailhead parking lot and start the South Rim Drive from there. People don't realize, I think, that you can park your car at the Wapiti Lake trailhead and then take a short stroll to the start of the South Rim Drive. Hi. You can hear the falls down there and see them through the trees. And then the parking lot that I mentioned to you is off to the right here. This is the one that was redone recently.
అది ఇప్పుడు రానా
A lot more people around, aren't there? Because of the easy accessibility from the Uncle Tom's parking lot. Let's see how many of them just do the viewpoint and how many of them join me on the South Rim Trail. Incidentally, always take bear spray with you, even though you're so close to a road that's reasonably well traveled. You never know when you're going to bump into a bear. I've actually never seen any bears on this side, the south side of the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, but I've seen bears reasonably regularly on the north side, in the vicinity of Grandview Point and along that road. about the drives and the walks that you can take in this area. And I think we talked about the brink of the upper falls. Boy, that's a long way down there, isn't it? I talked about the brink of the upper falls, and then once you've done that, if you get back onto the Grand Loop Road, you'll come to the Chittenden Bridge, which I've mentioned several times, and drive over the Chittenden Bridge, and the main point of interest is Artist Point, which is really spectacular, and that's where Ansel Adams, by the way, I don't know if you can see the trail down there. Let me zoom in on it. And if you look carefully, see some people on that trail, and that is to the brink of the lower falls. And notice as well the yellow rock, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. So you'll head over to Artist Point, passing the turn off to Uncle Tom's on the way, and Artist Point is where, amongst others, Ansel Adams shot some of his famous pictures. And for my money, that is the best view of the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone at Artist Point. I mentioned the yellow color of the rock to you. A Native American tribe gave it the name Yellowstone, what is subsequently translated into English as Yellowstone. It was the French fur trappers. Well, that's kind of creaky, isn't it? It was the French fur trappers who translated the name into French, Yellowstone, and then Lewis and Clark from the Lewis and Clark expedition, who translated it from French into English, from where the name stuck. And this is where we have Yellowstone today. Boy, what a great day to be out for a short hike. It's the beginning of October. The temperatures are in the mid-60s. So let's figure that out. That's probably about 18 to 19 degrees Celsius. And there, unfortunately, is where the trail is closed to Uncle Tom's. There's certainly more people on the trail over here between Uncle Tom's and Artist Point than between Chittenden Bridge and Uncle Tom's. But with it being the end of October, there's not that many people in Yellowstone compared to the summer. When I came in, there were only 3 gates open at the west entrance, and whereas the lines at the gate would normally go back well into the town of West Yellowstone, today, as I say, there were only 3 instead of 4 gates open, and you could pretty much drive up to whichever gate you wanted. You didn't even need to use the prepaid lane, which is normally a lot quicker. And I'd mentioned before that we saw those people who were on a trail, and that trail was to the brink of the brink of the lower falls. And over there are the lower falls. And we're going to take a detour to a short trail which will give us a better view. Please always be really, really careful before you get on one of these trails. In fact, it says closed now. So I guess we're not going on the trail after all. See a couple of people down there. That once again is the brink of the lower falls, and you can see the vantage point. And by the way, you can see this entire trail, the brink of the lower falls, as well as the brink of the upper falls, in another one of our virtual Yellowstone tours. On the other side of the river, on the other side of the canyon, when there's a break in the trees, we can see some of the viewpoints. Well, that's not one of the named viewpoints, but that's where the North Rim Drive goes. And you can stop in various places and pull out and take a look at some of these incredible views. Okay, so what time of the day should you do this trail? It's the afternoon, and I'm doing it in basically a west to east direction. I'll get back to that. So I'm doing this in a west to east direction, and so the sun's behind me more or less in the afternoon. If you wanted to do it the other way, park your car at Artist Point, then do it in the morning and walk more or less from east to west, so the sun will be more or less behind you. Thermal features to be seen down at the bottom there. If you look closely, I'm not saying in this exact point, but when you're at the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, look down at the bottom, you'll see steam rising in all sorts of places, showing the presence of thermal features here. I've taken off my hat, by the way. I don't want to be chasing it down that steep slope. That once again is the brink of the upper falls, the brink of the lower falls. And that over there looks like Outlook Point. Gosh, can you imagine the slide down there to the bottom if you lost your footing? Oh my. So to our left is Outlook, and then to our right is Grand Viewpoint. I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay guys, so this is obviously Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, but there's quite a bit happening from a human perspective here, and I hope that I'm going to be able to show it to you. Let's see what my aim is like. Over there somewhere is the trail, the Northern Trail, that leads up towards Outlook Point, which is at the top over there. Zoom in a little bit more, and if we zoom out again, at that end we can see Grand Viewpoint. Zoom out to the canyon again, and if we zoom in one more time, that's Artist Point over there. Let's carry on now towards Artist Point.
Brian and Don, they don't like to go down it.
Why?
Because they get going too fast and wipe out.
Do they go?
Yeah. Brian needs to get shit.
Hey, good. How you doing?
Great.
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, look forward to it. If you're wondering why the sky isn't quite as blue as it is in some of our other videos, it's because of all the fires. We're in Wyoming, but there's been so much smoke coming in from fires, particularly in California, but also in Oregon. I've been waiting for a clear day, but we're going to be in the winter soon, and the smoke just won't go away. That's Outlook Point opposite us. And view is over there again. once again are the lower falls. Let's come across to Outlook Point. What a great expansive view of the canyon, isn't it? Right across the way there is Artist Point again. There's Artist Point over there. We can see that the lower falls are hidden from view, but when we get to Artist Point again, they will be visible. Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Across the canyon over there we can see some stairs on the North Rim Trail, or a boardwalk rather, on the North Rim Trail. There's the road that leads from Artist Point back to the Grand Loop Road. We're not too far from Artist Point. And here we are approaching the top of the two parking lots at Artist Point. Notice these yellow poles that have been put up. This is to show where the road and the parking lot is with all the snow that we get here in the winter. So this is the upper, or the slightly higher of the two parking lots at Artist Point. This trail is what we call an out and back trail. It's not a loop. So once you've seen Artist Point, you would then turn around and take the trail back to Uncle Tom's parking lot or the Wapiti Lake trailhead parking lot. I'm not suggesting that you turn around though when you get to the parking lot at Artist Point. Even though the rest of the trail is really easy and it's very short from this point onwards, in my mind, the best views anywhere at the entire Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone are to be found at Artist Point. So before you turn around and take the stroll back to where you started or where you left your car, make sure that you do go and check out Artist Point. As you'll see in a few minutes, the views are just beyond spectacular. After we go down the stairs, you'll see there's several viewpoints which are really just amazing. I'm always in two minds as to which one is the best. There's this view here, which you can see through the trees. That's the lower falls again in the background. But then also, if you climb those stairs, you get a more elevated view. And you also get a spectacular view through the canyon walls of the waterfalls. Please remember that you can see a lot more of Artist Point in our dedicated Artist Point virtual Yellowstone tour elsewhere in our YouTube channel. Thanks for checking out our virtual Yellowstone tour. If you enjoyed this virtual Yellowstone tour series, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel.
Alright, so Oscar, you're going to sit